So today, we are going into frameworks. Now, so what is a CSS framework? CSS framework. Yeah. So we've been doing a whole lot of vanilla, writing things on our own. We've been the number of lines in our CSS is like once you write the whole dictionary or want to, if you check the lines of codes, people's work, like you see 500 lines of CSS and you're wondering like, what are you writing? Are you designing Facebook? Are you implementing Facebook? All of that. So many lines. So what is CSS framework? Why are we going to choose to use a CSS framework? What is the reason behind CSS framework? So, well, for developers, when they actually looked at the way people create websites, and then you see that when you're doing vanilla, you have to write a whole lot of, you have to like put in so much work to get things done, how to do a nav bar. But instead of me just getting something that will just, instead of me creating a nav bar, I have to like position it properly. And I have to, when I finish positioning it, keep the logo in one side, keep the links in one side. I now have to come and start thinking of responsiveness. How will it look on a small screen? How will it resize? When somebody clicks on this, what happens? This and that. All those plenty things to think about. So web developers now thought it wise that, okay, so we have all of this. So we have all of this. So we have all of this, but we can make this better. We can simply write it, we can make it so that the IMS framework came in. So what's the CSS framework? The CSS framework is a code library that abstracts common web designs and makes them easier for developers to implement in their web apps. So I want to create a nav bar. And while creating that nav bar, I still want it to have like the whole responsiveness part of it included. CSS framework, that's your map. So the designs that you need, when you talk about the grid system, you want 3 items to stay on the same line, and then you want it to display flex, you want it to do this, you want it to do that. CSS framework will take care of that for you. So, in simple terms, a CSS framework is a collection of CSS style sheets that are prepped and ready to use. So, when we actually get into the CSS framework that we're going to be learning today, we'll actually see how easy it is. So that's why when I delay on going on just jumping into framework, I kind of want people to see why you have to have this knowledge, because without even knowing the basics, sometimes the CSS framework will even give you some issues because you just want to centralize something and then you don't know which one works. If you don't understand that it's in your normal CSS, you will find it hard to use the CSS framework because you have those classes. And then, so an important thing that we should note while doing this is that while you're doing CSS framework is like, it's meant for you to reduce the number of lines in your CSS. So if you're using CSS framework and the number of lines in your work is very much, please know that you're already getting it wrong. So you'll see how, you'll see how to handle that when we get to that point. Yeah. So why use CSS Framework? Now, I think I remember one class where Mubarak or someone said that he sees why web developers kind of charge more. So you have a site to build, and then you now see the number of lines of CSS. Like, it's as if you're writing a textbook. There's so much to be done in just one page. And if that landing page is like it's very long, you keep doing display flex, do this, do that, and then you see that it takes a whole lot of time. So CSS framework speeds your development. If I actually want to if I want to do a quick project, I'll just quickly run to CSS framework because it kind of make things faster for me. So I need a navbar, I just get a navbar. I need this, I just get this, and I just put it. Before you know, I'm done with what I am doing. I don't have to start worrying about, okay, I've finished doing the desktop view or the mobile or tablet view now look like. So I don't have to worry so much about that because this kind of handles it for me. So the other one, second one, it enables cross-browser functionality. Now, when you talk about cross-browser functionality, so you're using a CSS framework, like using a CSS framework, and then you switch browser. Let's say you're using Chrome, and you're still using the same. You're using maybe your buttons or something, or a modal. That's like a pop-up. You go on one browser, it doesn't have a different view on a different browser. It just enables you to have almost the same view on different browsers. So that's like, it allows cross-browser functionality. Then thirdly, it enforces good web design habits. So let's say I need people to actually work on a project now. Let's say we have a site that we're supposed to build, and then I need like maybe I need Mubarak, Merit, not Job, a safe square. So I'm just calling names that just come to my head. So I need those people to actually work on something. And then you see when all of them come together to work on a particular project, this person probably, okay, one person is like, I want to create custom styles. So if I'm using flex in my HTML, in my CSS, that flex stands for display flex. So that's one person's view of handling CSS. Someone else can say, okay, I want to give a class in my HTML, and then in my CSS, I now style it. So I don't mind using display flex in multiple places because that's how I understand how it works. It works better for me. I don't get lost in it. So the point is that each person has the way they view their own, each person has how their own code works for them. Like they have different styles of writing it. But then when you're using a CSS framework, it now forces everybody to use almost the same style, the same pattern of developing the website. So you actually get to see how these things work out. And then you know that, okay, you know how it enforces web design habits because everybody will just use the same thing. So it gives you clean and symmetrical layouts. So that's the fourth one. So when you're creating a site now, you kind of see it handles a whole lot of styling, adds some interesting things for you. So you see that it's much cleaner, it's better, and than what you would actually design maybe on your own if you don't have a good styling business. Like if you don't have a good styling habits, that kind of stuff. So the fifth one, they make your styling workflow productive, clean, and maintainable. So you kind of understand how CSS framework works. It simplifies your workflow. It makes it you're faster. You just create clean designs. You just move on, and it works out well for you. So you get to see how all of this work. So, okay, so we have a whole lot of CSS frameworks. Like we have a whole lot of them. So I just put up a few. So we have popular frameworks include we have Bootstrap. Bootstrap is like one of the oldest. It's very old. Like I think 2018. Yeah, 2018. That was like the first thing that I didn't know how to do HTML and CSS. So they just said, go and learn Bootstrap. And like I said, CSS framework can make you very lazy. Like you tend to forget a whole lot of you tend to forget how what do they call it? How your CSS works if you so dwell on Bootstrap. So that was a problem I had then. I understood Bootstrap, but my HTML and CSS was very shaky. Like I practically learned HTML and CSS either in 2021 or 2020. That was when I understood how it works. So all these display flex, all these things, I didn't understand it. So that's why I'm just hammering on learn your CSS well, so that when you come into Bootstrap, Tailwind, whatever framework you're learning, you kind of understand why this happens, why that happens. Yes. So, so you want to be lazy. All right. So, so it's important that we kind of just solidify your skill, your HTML and CSS skill. When you get to this point, it will not be difficult. Whatever whatever framework you use it to you will just understand how everything works out. So some of these popular frameworks, they are Bootstrap, Tailwind, CSS. We have Foundation, we have Boomer, we have Skeleton, we have Materialize. There are a whole lot of them. There are a whole lot of them. So I said, note your choice of which to use depends on you or wherever you're working, the company's preference. So you have somebody, maybe I don't know if it's a client or maybe the company can decide. The company can decide that okay, yeah. So the company can just decide that okay, we want to use Tailwind because it gives a very fine layout and you're very flexible with it and all of that. So all of them they have their own issues. They have where they stand out best, which one is better than which. But the main thing is that they make yeah they make they make the work easier. They get the job done. So the namings, they are very funny ones. Bootstrap. Maybe Bootstrap is like something that just bundles up styles. Skeleton. Well, they know how they name their stuff. So yeah, we'll actually look at these things. So, but let me just talk about so for Bootstrap, Bootstrap is a bit flexible. So like these two here, they are flexible, but Bootstrap can get a bit rigid because it has a few, well, we'll talk more about it. It has a few features that you really can't change like that. like it's a framework. That's how the company wants their maybe, let's say you want to design a card. So they have like how a card should look like. So they have that already. But when you come to something like Tailwind gives you like freedom to do a whole lot of things. You can style it however you want. You can, so it's more free. It's a bit, yeah, it's not as rigid as Bootstrap. It depends on whichever one you want to use. The same. So each one has what makes it stand out and so. All right. So yeah, the one that we actually ish. Okay.
Yeah. Uh, Anyone having any question? Let's quickly come up with it and unmute your mic so you can speak so I can respond. Any question regarding Bootstrap? Or anyone have any question regarding Bootstrap? If you have any question, can you just raise your hand? So I would unmute you so you can speak. Okay, can I still use chat box? So I'll just
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but you can go ahead.
All right. Sorry about that. That's always give me the wrong time. All right. So we're actually going to look at, we're picking. So I was talking about Bootstrap. Bootstrap is slightly rigid, but you can force it to be a bit flexible, but it's rigid. It's own way. It's not like Tailwind. Tailwind is very free. You don't need to like force it to have to style things. So Bootstrap, like I said, it has its own default way of like, let's say, component. For the components, there are components that it has. So it has a default way of styling their own component. So when when you need a different style, you have to force it so that it takes that shape, it takes the shape that you want it to have. So it depends on you. But like I said, Bootstrap is easy to kind of pick up. And from Bootstrap, you can learn any other one. So you need to like know one. You need to know one and then pick up the other one. All right. So let's go into Bootstrap. What is Bootstrap? So Bootstrap is a free and open source framework for creating websites and web applications. So remember I told us that there's a difference between websites and web application. And someone remember that? Someone remember the difference between web apps and websites? You can write in the chat, you can raise your hand. Yeah, yeah. So websites could just be images and text, while web apps are, yeah, they are dynamic. They keep changing. You can purchase, you can sign up. All right. So it's the most popular HTML, CSS, and JavaScript framework. So it comes in with a whole lot HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So it's used for developing responsive mobile-first projects on the web. So it kind of handles the mobile-first websites that we keep talking about. Yeah, mobile first, mobile first. So when you're using Bootstrap, it takes care of responsiveness for you to an extent, except there are things that are beyond its power. Then you now need to start adding your own CSS. Yeah. So as the web evolves more and more towards responsive design, so I kind of told us that people access websites with their phone. Yeah, you have people that are even coding with their phone. So people do a whole lot of things with their phone these days. So it can be a real challenge for web developers to keep up. So Bootstrap makes things a whole lot easier. It enables you to create responsive websites without you needing to do the responsive. Bootstrap takes care. We'll see how that happens. All right. So why Bootstrap? So it's a one framework and one framework every device. So has been one framework for every device. Because websites built with Bootstrap automatically scale between devices, whether the device is a mobile phone, tablet, laptop. So when you handle design for mobile devices, then it scales up from there, as opposed to being designed from desktop and trying to scale down to mobile devices. So it handles the mobile first and then goes. So Bootstrap components. So Bootstrap has a whole lot of components. You have buttons, you have navbars, you have drop-down menus, alert boxes, and we'll get to see all these very interesting things in just a bit. So let's get our hands dirty. Yep. So does anybody have any questions so far before we jump into practicalizing this? If you have a question, you can raise your hand up. I want to pull up something.
Yeah, Aralua, what it means is that a framework, it's responsive on all design. It's so designed that all responsiveness works for all response. The whole website is responsive on every kind of screen. If you are using a framework, you don't need to begin to determine for which screen size or which other screen size. It's responsive for all screen size. I think you understand.
I'm believing, okay, yeah. All right, so I do have a website here. to actually share. So these websites are actually built with Bootstrap. I think there are some features, there are some additives. So we're actually going to just we're going to create something of that sort. I'll need us to understand how each bit works so that we're able to style it. We're able to use Bootstrap first. I just wanted to show you things that are built with Bootstrap, and then we can just walk our way while doing this. Just understand a few things. So I'll pick some aspects, and then we will just go through it. So first things first. Doesn't mean that you design for mobile first. It just means that it handles responsiveness for mobile. Let me inspect this. This is a mobile script. It just handles this for you. Handles how this will. So you're able to just play around with things. So by default, it starts with the mobile and then it grows more. All right. So when you want to start building anything with Bootstrap, you need to go to getbootstrap.com. So this is where you work with a whole lot of documentation. Like they have so this is their website. Okay. So this is their website. And then Bootstrap has actually scaled from we had Bootstrap E, we had Bootstrap 4, currently they have Bootstrap 5. So it depends on what you want, on which version you want to use. They actually use Bootstrap to build their own website. So you use something else and build your own website. For our next steps, you need media query. Depending on if they don't have it, you need to add your own media query. So let's get right to it. So first things first, you click on Get Started. You see that the current version is Bootstrap 5. They had from 2, 3, 4, the latest is 5.1. Yeah, so we're going to be learning Bootstrap 5. Normally I would have said let's look at Bootstrap 4, but the Bootstrap 4, there's a tricky bit to it, but Bootstrap 5 kind of handles that for us so that now you have to add there's a jQuery, I call it a file, that you need to add for a couple of things to work. But using Bootstrap 5, you don't need to add that file. So, that's why we're using this, because this is more updated. They looked at having to add an external file so that it needs to work. Let's say, for instance, let me resize this. Mobile view. So they have this. Now, if you're using Bootstrap 4, you click here, without adding that file, this will not drop down. This wouldn't drop down. So you have to add a certain file or some certain lines of code so that your button can work, or anything that requires JavaScript can work. So you need to add that. But using Bootstrap 5, this does not handle that. So we are here now. There's a whole lot of things that you can use this, but our primary focus will be on the components. So there is a whole lot of beauty in it. So let's say, for instance, you want an accordion. An accordion is like when you have FAQs. Let's say you have frequently asked questions. Let's say what is, or when is CodeCamp starting, or what sort of period is CodeCamp, so what kind of answers. So it's just like you can close, you can. So they have these components which can help you. Like when you talk about, yeah, we're talking about the design that we did, the design we implemented. So you have an FAQ section. We're now thinking of the JavaScript that is going to handle opening and closing. Now, using Bootstrap, they already give you something like this. So all you need to do is get this, see the code for it. Just get it, put it in your work, and voila, it starts working. So we're going to see all this magic happen slow and steady, slow and steady. And not only that, you add that it has the whole interactiveness of, so when you click on it, it opens whichever one you want to go through. So there are alerts, a whole lot of things. So you have alerts like this. You have badges. Let's say you want to create a nav bar. You just need to slide down here. So we have nav bar here. So this is nav bar. So this is the nav bar. You just go to the bottom here. You see, this is a sample nav bar. There are different styles depending on what you want. So it's more like copy and paste, copy and paste. But you need to set up your folder structure, and then you can walk down through it from there. So I'm going to show us how it works so that it gets the brighter picture. So when you're on this page, ensure that this is on Bootstrap version 5, if that's what you want to use. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so you see this download at the top here. You're going to click on it. Okay. For reason that one doesn't want. Okay. So that doesn't work. All right. So if this one at the top doesn't work, it will redirect to this page. And then you have this this folder, it's a zip folder. So I'm going to show us what is inside that zip folder. Okay. The moment, yeah. All right, so I have in my downloads, so this is the Bootstrap folder. I'm actually going to extract this. Sorry, the moment. No, it's not. Okay, sorry, I get the picture. You know that this is happening here, so extract. Okay. So when you extract it, if you open it, you see we have a CSS folder already. And this CSS folder has a whole lot of things, a whole lot of files inside it. So remember we said Bootstrap or CSS Framework is like CSS style sheets that they are already prepared for you. So you just need to structure it. And you're going to just be calling classes. When you call a class, it comes to this Bootstrap, to the file, searches for it, picks that style because they've already styled things for you. So you don't have to worry yourself about those. So you'll see how that actually works. Let me just show you the content. So there's CSS. Inside the CSS, you have Bootstrap CSS, Bootstrap main, and a whole lot of this, which you may never use. All right, so let's come back here. Then you have a JavaScript folder. The JavaScript folder that has Bootstrap.js, Bootstrap main. So this Bootstrap main.js is the minified version of the Bootstrap JS. So these two things are actually the same thing, but one is minified, the other one is like the full package. So I'm actually going to show us how this works. First things first. I'm going to copy this folder. So this is the folder. This is the extracted folder, and inside it has another folder. So I'll copy this. I'm not cutting. So I'm copying this. I'll find where my my project is. So this is 2.0. I'll just these are different projects that I have. So I'm just going to paste this here. Yeah. So let me see. Minimize this first. So let's say we are starting with this one first. So this is called one page. So this is called one page. This top part is not part of it. So we have this nav bar. We have the whole of this. Yeah. So let me get this. All right. So I'm going to rename this to one page. It's in one page. All right. So inside that one page, you have your CSS that is from Bootstrap. The CSS from Bootstrap. You have the JavaScript folder from Bootstrap. So this is one page. And I'm going to open this with VS Code. I'm pulling up VS Code. Yeah. So I'll pull this folder because I'm too lazy. I'll just pull it here. All right. So remember that this was, if you're confused, and just drop something in the chat so that I need all of us to follow, because from here, from now henceforth, most of our projects are just going to be using frameworks. But you need to still complete your previous one. If not, thank you. And do it well. All right. So we have, remember, we had this CSS folder coming from Bootstrap. This was the Bootstrap folder that we extracted. I renamed it to this. So it's not every time that you kind of need to download this thing. You can just download it once and then keep using it. So except there's an update. So you have this CSS, you have this JavaScript. And the next thing I want to add, let me just add my index.html. It's just the same way, index.html. And then I need to also add my, so this is blue. I click on this, my ing folder. So this folder has a whole lot of things. Some of them that we don't even need. I'm just going to delete a couple of them. You can choose to leave them. It's not your life. That's a whole lot of things. And I will just leave them for now. I'll just leave them for now. So the only important things that we need. You need that in your course. So what we need here now is just you either choose between the Bootstrap CSS. So you see that they have their own styling for you. They already have their own styling. What they want the body to be, they have their own media queries and what it will be at what point. A whole lot of this inside here. So this is a very long file. Right? You will get to see how a couple of things move. You might not even be visiting this file, this folder. I mean, this file will actually check things. You just see them all. So this is the full. This is the full package, and then this is the minified one. So you see the minified one. It's so confusing that you don't even understand what is going to happen. Like everything is just jam-packed. You don't understand what's happening. So I wish I can just do it. Let me see if I can just do it because I don't want people to get confused on this. So let me pull up this folder. So this is one page. This is CSS. So I'm just going to delete from here. Is the last. So I have my Bootstrap CSS, I have my Windows CSS. I still want this one.
Yeah, to do that, you CSS, you might actually still need your own style sheet because you might not find what you're looking for in the frameworks style sheet. So sometimes it's not, sometimes you still have to use the style sheet, but not for all elements, just for some few elements. Hope you get that too.
Okay, so can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear
Yes,
me?
we can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir.
All right. Sorry about that. So I'm removing this file. Take note of what I am. You just need to know that your Bootstrap JS and your Bootstrap main.js, yeah, those are just the stuff you need here. So I'm just going to delete this. This could actually have what they do, but not used them before. I don't know. Okay, so let's come back to our VS Code. Then for your JS, you can either pick one of them and use it. All right, so the same way that you do your HTML, that's what you're going to do here. So still the same HTML5. Yeah. So I'm going to rename this to one page. This is the one that my head was able to choose. Okay. So this is one page. Let's look at. Okay, we're supposed to link everything up here now. Now, first things first, you need to add a link. Now remember that we have this CSS folder the same way. So we have a CSS slash. I'm going to use the minified version, so main.css. Yeah, bootstrap main.css. Then you can also add in view. Yeah. So let me just create that style. Yeah. This should be style CSS. All right, so close this guy, close this guy. So we have this comes first. This one. So we also have our JavaScript. Your JavaScript. Okay. You're just going to add it below here. There are a couple of features that will require JavaScript. So you don't need to do that work. Bootstrap will just handle it for you. How do you mean full screen? The view better now. Is it better now? Can you see my screen? All right. So, okay. So I have Bootstrap main. I have this. So for you to add this Bootstrap.js or Bootstrap main.js here now at the bottom, you just need to add a script tag. So scripts, because it's JavaScript. So you're going to do a JS slash Bootstrap main.js. So this stays at the bottom here. So now you don't really need to worry about how this works. The JavaScript can stay at the bottom for the closing button tag. It can also be in the head, but most times it's best to be here. Yeah, so we've set this up. Set this up. Yes. So let's go back to see our wonderful design, our game design. Yeah. This. Why? Yeah, this. Why is this one?
Any questions so far with Bootstrap? Let me just continue. Yeah. Do you have any question? Can you just raise your hand? Okay, love it. Please go ahead. Can unmute and speak.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My question is, between this method and using the link, like using the Bootstrap link on your index.html file, which one is better? Either you download the Bootstrap or you just use the link. Which one is actually better and will make your website load faster?
Yeah, the thing is, due to the nature of the file, it's much advisable that I just take the link from the Bootstrap website and input it because, and you know, there's a disadvantage to that. The advantage to that is that you have to be online. You have to be connected to the internet so that you'll be able to load some of the style you are using the link for. But if you have it on your local machine, it's going to save you the stress of being online. And also, for the size of the file, you know, when you want to eventually push to GitHub, most people just push the whole entire file. But I would, for me, on a personal preference, I would not say this is better. On a personal preference, it's much advisable that you just pick the link from the website and embed it into your code. Hope you understand what I said.
Okay, yeah, I understand. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Obuneme. Obuneme Okoye. If you can hear me, please kindly unmute and speak.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
So my question is, I think she has asked part of my question though, but my other question is, I did not get the other part where he was copying some, because the files I saw when he downloaded and extracted it from, they were much. At some point, maybe it was the network. I did not see what he did again. Some of the files were like, they were not there again. Is it that he deleted some?
Yes, so that's what it did. When you extract the file, it comes with a lot of bundle of file. So when you read the documentation, you would see the exact file you need. That's why before you begin to use Bootstrap, it's advisable you read the documentation. Most of the file you actually need from the main whole bundle of folder. Set up CSS, Bootstrap the CSS. You need the JavaScript, and you need one other Bootstrap file from it. I think it's just 3 or 4 files you need from that folder, which you just have to link into your Bootstrap. Then it's going to work perfectly well.
Then it's better to just link it externally.
Yeah, that's why I said it depends on personal preference for you to either link or download the file, because both of them have advantage and disadvantage. For you downloading it on your local machine, it's just going to create excess folder on your local machine, and you can be able to use it offline. But for the link, you have to be connected to the internet for your styles to be reflecting. If you are not connected to the internet, your styles won't be reflecting. Yeah, so do that you can actually use Git ignore. Yeah, you can actually use Git, then you're fine. Yeah, please go ahead.
The other thing I want to say, what if after you're done downloading it to your local machine and there is an update?
That is where it comes in again. That's why it's advisable you use the link, the external link. Why you just use the link? That's why it's advisable to use the link. But if there's an update, you can always download the updated folder and use it again. That's just it. I think Bootstrap 5.1, Bootstrap 5.1.0 has been since last year. So it has not been updated. So you will probably still in use. That's why.
Okay, so thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Ogo, please can you?
Question.
Yeah, Ogo, please can you point out the files you removed? Like, you know, it was not the old file you imported into your folder, into your project. Someone is asking which of the file did they need and which file did they not.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just that's. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Oji.
Okay. So I just have these two files here. So Bootstrap CSS, Bootstrap main. Those other ones I didn't need them. That's why I had to take them off. So like overhead, um using it offline, there's actually a CDN where you just input it into your work and then you're able to work on it. You're able to style whatever you want to style or create any web page that you want to create. So both sides of it, they have their own good or bad side. Maybe using the CDN now, that means you just have to stay connected to internet. Yeah, you just have to stay connected to internet and then you work on give you access folders and all of that. But I really, for me personally, if you just have this, even if it's one of these files, I don't think that would be an access for you to have. So the good side of working with it, like having downloading it. So that's why I said you can just download it and then like keep modifying it. Because if they actually want, I think what they do is I don't know what's happening with this one. All right. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
All right. Sorry, sorry, it keeps tripping off. Okay, so so the good side of working with it on your device is that even without internet, you can style out whatever web page you want. So I was talking about if they actually want to update. Let me share this. They actually want to update something. Is either they move it to a different version. I don't think except they've done that before. I don't think they will actually update it on that particular version. So it's either maybe an upgrade to a different version also. So that means even if someone is still using Bootstrap 3, the Bootstrap 3 function, so far as the files are still the same, they will still work the same way. That's like the good side of using it offline self, because the styles that you used during that period, they are still the same thing. It's still calling this, it's still inside that same file. It's still inside the Bootstrap JS. It's still inside the Bootstrap CSS. So whatever style you use for that particular project still works for that project. So that it will still be there. If you see somebody that's still using, I think one of the things that they were using in Bootstrap 3 was panels. So panels came and Accordion actually came and took over from panels. But if you see someone that's still using a Bootstrap 3 project, that's probably use panels, you still see the panel style still there. But actually they've moved over to using Accordion. So that kind of just tells you that, well, even if there's an update, it's in view, it's to come. So it's either a new version or maybe not on this file, so you're in safe hands. All right, so let's just go on. Yeah, I've actually linked up my file.css and Bootstrap main.css, Bootstrap JS too. All right, so I was talking about creating a headers. Yeah, so I want to create a header or a navbar, more like this one. So what do? I'll just come to this is their documentation. Come to their documentation and I come to components. So I need to search for navbar. So this is navbar. And for some reason, it's taking a while. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. So this is like the default navbar that they have. So there's a whole explanation of how it works. You need this, you need that. So you can actually read up on it. Branch. There's a whole lot. You see that these are classes. Nav brand, nav nav, this, that. So there's a whole lot of this. So all these things, these are styles. These are classes which are already defined in the Bootstrap, either main.css or Bootstrap.css. So what you need to do now is I will just copy this, come over to my VS Code, and I'll just paste it. So let me just say, let me just call this hero section. All right, so this is hero section. I'll just paste this inside here. Alternate Z, I'm wrapping it. So there are a whole lot of things here. So navbar expand. So this navbar now, if I just, let me just copy this, Control C. I come to this Bootstrap.css and I do Control F. This here. So you see, this is navbar. Position, relative, display flex wrap. So they already have this for you. Then they have container fluid. So you see all these classes that I've been talking about. So depending on what you want to use. So this is our container thing. We'll see how that container works. So this is where the idea of container came. That's to my mind. That's why I keep using that. What do they call it? I keep using container. So let me save this. Let's see what we have. Oh, let me just go live. And you see this. So let me inspect this. Let's see. Okay. So you see, I didn't need to stress myself. You guys see what happened. So I've not done anything. I've not done anything, but I already have a hamburger and I have my and I have this here. I've not done anything. And it's magic. It's actually magic. So we want to remember that remember that we want to style something of this sort. So we now have to make everything to work. We have to make one page. Probably I'll just use a text. Because you guys should know. All right, this is magic, okay? So let me see. I hope this is okay. This is actually text. So I'm actually going to just do this. So I'm just going this. See, we have navbar here. So we have navbar brand here. We have this container fluid thing here. So let's just look at our site so that we know how we modify it. Okay, so we see that at this point, so we have this navbar does not start at the end here. See how our own looks like. So our own is touching this end. That's not what we want. So we need to fix our navbar so that it actually stays properly. So what do I do? I'll come to this. This is my navbar. And instead of container fluid, I'm changing this to container. Yeah, container. So let's see what it looks like. You see, this is the same line. So this, we have this space now. We now need this text, this one-page text. So I'm going to change this text. Here, one page. All right, save this. Okay, this is my one page. And if I so wish, this is a blue color. So in Bootstrap, we have colors. We have different types of colors. So if I so wish, I can just come here and just say text primary. I'm going to show us this now. Let's see. You see? So you see this text has now changed to a blue color without me even writing any CSS yet. I've not written any CSS yet. Okay, so here, let's just check. You just search for colors here. Colors. So Bootstrap has some colors. So you have primary, you have secondary, you have success, you have danger, warning, info, dark, light. So these are different colors. These are different colors that you can use. If you check my code, you see that I did this text primary so that I'll be able to change this to a blue text. So it can be whatever color you choose. You can style it out in your CSS if you want. So the next thing I'm actually going to touch now is, next thing I will need to touch is, so looking at this now, you see that all this is going to one side. But here now, we have this search box, which we don't need. We have these guys on this other end. So we want to fix that. So to fix this, this is the form. This is this form at this end. So you have a form, you have links. This is a drop down. If you check here now, see that we have a drop down. We have link. So what I want to do is this form now. I don't think I need the search. I don't even need this. I don't even need the form. I only need the button. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay. So I know this is a whole lot of code at once. So I just need this button, but I still need this to come to this point. So what do I do? Now see something. Let's take note of this. So you have navbar now. This is the collapse part. And let me explain it small. So when you're here now, when you're on this print site, when you click on this, this comes out. So this is like your collapse point. If I drag this up, so this is navbar collapse. So you need to just check where's navbar collapse. So this is navbar collapse here. Inside the navbar collapse, you have ULs. I have navbar nav. They have ME. This ME here, ME stands for margin to the end, margin end. So before it used to be margin right. Margin right. It used to be MR because we're using Bootstrap 5. Then this is margin bottom, MB, margin bottom. This is margin bottom for a large string. So this is where I was getting all those things from, all those inspiration I've been wanting. So you have nav items. So this is your LI, this is your home, anchor link, this. So this is another one, the link, the drop down, and all of that. So this is the active one. Active is, when it's active, it shows this thick red color, but for the other ones, no. So here now, when you say margin and auto, please don't be lost. Don't be lost. This is just the beginning. You have a navbar. This navbar, we copied it. We copied it from their documentation. Yeah. Components, navbar. Yes. When you copy it, it comes with the whole of this thing. So you have this collapse, you have all of this. So when you just copy it, it gives you the styling at once. It gives you the styling at once. What you're seeing. Then normally it comes with a container fluid. The difference between a container fluid and a container is that a container gives more space from the end. That's why you have this space here. But container fluid will give very little space. So by default, it comes with container fluid. Then you have this navbar brand. Navbar brand is where the company's logo or text is going to stay. You have this button. This button is your toggle button when you resize. Yeah. And you now have this collapse. This collapse is your nav links, all these ones. So you have a UL and an LI. So you see where people get the inspiration of using UL and LI. So here now, this is the home, link, the drop down, the disabled self. So here now, we want to move our some. I just need you guys to just understand. So we want to move these things over to this point. And then when you check your code here, you see that this is, yes, this is navbar nav. So this is the navbar's navigation, which is the links. So inside the links now, we have this margin end auto. That's give space from the right. So that's why it's giving this space. It's giving space from the right. So margin end, this is the end. It's giving space. But we don't want it, we don't want this space. What we want is we want space from this other section. So instead of using margin end, we're going to use what? Margin start. This key is going to change to an S. So margin start. If you check the documentation, so this is what we have now. Check here now. Just check for margin. So anything that you want to do, margin added. So not this one, margin, spacing. So M stands for margin, B padding. So T padding top, margin top, bottom. This is start, which is this is left, coming from your left or your right, or your coming from your left. Start from your left. Left to right is padding right. So, but just know it's coming from this side. It's coming from your left side. So margin starts from your, if you're facing your distance from your left. Or this other one is end. So this end now, this end is coming from the right, margin right. Then you also have X. So for those of us that did mathematics, so you know your x-axis from top to bottom. No, sorry. That one is actually your y-axis. So top to bottom is your y-axis. Left to right, yes, left to right is your x-axis. I just remember that. That is all right. So your x-axis is from left to right. Your y-axis is from top to bottom. So let's just take note. If you don't put any distance, if you don't put any stop, if you just use, let's say, margin alone, if you just use M, it takes care of everything. It takes care of top, right, bottom. It takes care of the four sides. That's what they are telling you here. So it has different sizes. It has 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are like the basic distance. So you can say M0. So it goes from 0, 1, 2, 3. So we'll see how some of these things work, and then we'll be able to use them in our work. So we've seen how I was able to do this. I had to change the end to start. So from your left side to give some space, and then we have this. So that's happened. So the other thing now that I would want to do here now is, so we have this, though the spacing is not different. I would have actually started changing each of this. So let's say we now want to do this section now. So this section consists of these 4 items, and then we want to put this text in the center. So we have one page bootstrap. So I'm going to do another section. I'm closing this now because there's still some work to do there, but I'm going to leave it for now. So I'm just going to do a top hero section. So inside the top hero section, I I can just put my container here. So this container, like I explained to you, the container allows you don't have spaces from it's not touching the end of your screen. Let me just show you what happens here. So let me inspect. So this is container. So you see that there are spaces. I've not styled a container. I've not done a container. You see, I've not touched my CSS up till now. I've just been using their own. So this is container. Container has some space on the left and on the right. So that's the same thing we want to do here now. This is top hero section. And then for the top hero section, we have a container, though there's no content inside this now. So we want to add that content now. So I'm just going to do a H1. I'm going to paste this. And though my H1 is not that large, so this is it. This is my H1. I want it to be in the center because this guy is like the center. Everything here is actually in the center. So I could just put it inside. I could just, yeah, I could just do this. So let me just put everything inside a div. So I want to centralize my text. So I can just do text center. And I'll copy this it's already then what's happening here. So I have text center. This text center means that my text, any text that is inside this bracket, any text inside this bracket is centralized. This text primary, hope we know what it does. It changes the color of this to a blue color. Text primary gives you the color. Text center gives you a centralized text. So let's see what this looks like. You see, it centralizes this. So I can just do another one. You can still do this here. You can still do all of this here. So I'll do a H2 here. I'll paste this here. We're really, really not serious. So inside here now. So we have this. You can still add your text primary. So okay. So we have this. Then I want to add a button here. Oh, I want to add this. I can also do a paragraph. So notice that I didn't have this text center. Everything that's inside this div is just going to be centered. I'll just do a paragraph and paste this. Yeah, you need to study it. Yes, there are variations for the color. If I do a 1 in here, okay. Yeah. So if I do 1 in instead, it gives me this color. And okay. Thanks for being my eyes and my. So this is this. If I want it to be red, I'll just do a danger. Yes. You have to do that so that it knows that you're targeting. And that's all. So let me see for button. So components, buttons, yeah, this is buttons. I don't know why it searched it out. So we have different buttons. We have different buttons here, danger, this is. So I need a blue button. So like I said, this guy does not really give you it's not as flexible as a tailwind. So see now this is at the top here. I kind of want to space it. Yes, you need to study the documentation to be able to work with this. So I want to give some space because notice that this guy is a bit spaced from here. So I can just use a padding. Remember, so we want what a padding top with a padding. What do we want to do here now? What do we want to use to adjust our text? Give some space here.
PT, right?
Sorry? Okay, yeah, padding top. So that means I can just do a PT. If I do a PT of 3, so each of these they have their own. They have their own. So it's as if this stuff did not even move. Specs. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay, yeah. So we have this padding top. So you see, we have a padding top there. And one RAM is equals 16 pixels. So that, yes, the 3, so the PT3 is padding top of 1 RAM. Remember, 1 RAM is equals to 16 pixels. So we would probably want higher than that. So I'm going to increase to a 5, padding top of 5. So we have some more space here. So this may not even do what we want it to even do because the spacing could be better. Sure. I'm just using their own style. I'm just using the style for now. You can just make this better. So I'm just this text now. This gets started. Let me just change it my own. Okay, so let's see the way to make the text bigger. Let's check display. Let's see if this will work. Font size of font size of 1. I'm checking for font size. And our heading classes. Okay, so let me just try that. There is a display stuff I'm looking for. This here, font size of 1. No increase. It's not display. So this is what I'm looking for. Display 1. Let's see. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to remove this FS. This FS is font size. So you just need to search for whatever you need. So you see. Let me see if the font weight can also. Yeah, I've seen. Okay. Yeah, bold. So let's check for bold. Where is my cursor? Okay, font weight. I'm really font weight. Okay, so this is font weight. So you can do a whole lot of things. You can capitalize, you can change your cases. Yeah, so this is font weight. So we have FW bold, FW bold. So I'm going to copy this bold. Yeah, so people have been doing their own. So let's see. So you see that, you see how Bootstrap, we've not touched anything in our style.css, but we're able to do all of this. The framework already interesting. So the only work that you have is that you need to you dwell on this documentation. This happens. So I want to touch this. Let's see. So we have this section now. So we have this section now, and we want to style something of this sort. So how do we do this? Okay, so I'm going to create another section. I'm using divs. I'm going to create a new section here, and I will call it add section. Section. So ID, so cards. Section. Okay, so it now depends on how I want to display this. This and this, they are the same line. So you need to take note of all of this. So there are different ways of doing this. I could have just, this is top section, top hero section. So I could have done this outside, but I did it inside here. So if I do it outside, that means I also need to add a container class. But since I'm doing it within the container, I think that should just work. Let's just see. We might have to change our mind. So now for this to work, we want to create 4 different sections. Now there's a team called grid system. So a grid system allows you to be able to arrange your items. So let me just go on grid system. That's a grid system. So in grid system, a grid system just divides, Bootstrap grid system divides your screen into 12 parts. So if you need to place 3 items, you know that the first one, this is, so if you're dividing into 12, this is like 4, 4, and 4. Let's get to that one. Okay. So by default, so this is, we have a container, we have a row. So a row is the same row that we've been talking about, where you need to do your display flex. So a row has a class of display flex. Now, inside it now, you now have these items in it. So for this first one now, we have 1 of 2. So if you use a column, so you want equal columns, so you can just use a call class column. Now, if you want 3 of them, you can just create 3 columns like that. So we want 4 columns. So what do we do? I'm just going to copy this. We need a row. We need a row. Let me just type it out. So we need a row class. Row. Inside the row, we now need 4 columns. I'm just going to add the numbers. Okay, so we need 4 columns. All right. Let me just give this a margin top empty. Let's just do a 5, margin top of 5, so that we have some space between both sides. So let's see. So you see, it's not even giving me the space. So let me inspect this so that we see what is happening here. So remember I said we need 1 column. So we need 4 columns. So this is the first one. To not work if it's greater than 5. Because that's why I said it's a bit rigid. It just has from 1 to 5. Anything, if you need a margin higher than that, if you need some higher padding or margin, you need to now do that in your standard CSS. So here now so for here now we have 4 columns. So this is the first column, the second column, the third column, the 4th column. So this already takes care of everything. Everything. Imagine, see if I resize this thing now. Look at seeing how this just fits. I don't need to stress myself. It's responsive. Everything just fits. So this is column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. So, but there's a better way of doing this. There's a better way of handling this. So you can use that column system if you just want to go straight like that. But then Bootstrap now comes up with a better way of handling this. Now, say for instance, I don't want all of them to be lined up like this. For a small screen. So this is like my phone. I don't want them because imagine, okay, let's just create a card. Let's create one of these cards now. Let's just see if we have extra time. Thank you. Thank you, IK, for giving us extra. Okay, so let's just create one column here. So I'm going to just, there's something called a card. So let me just pull that up. This is card. And it won't really give you like that. So a card is more like this. But we don't need this image section. We just need the card itself. So I'm going to call the card. So I'm just calling classes. These classes that I'm calling, they're actually in the Bootstrap. They are in the Bootstrap class, as in they're in the Bootstrap .css. They're already started. So I'm calling a card, and a card usually has a card body. Okay. So inside the card body now, so I'm going to ignore putting this. I actually do that. But I'm going to put this lorem. Let me just copy this. Easy to start my own lorem. So I'm going to do a h3 is this. And I'll do a paragraph. I'll get the other lorem because I'm using. Okay, so Control S. Let's see. Let's see what is happening here. This is not what we want. Yeah, this can work fine. This can work fine, but okay, this is large, so we kind of need to reduce this. If you need more than 4 columns, you can keep adding it, but know that we kind of need, in your divide, the highest you can divide your screen is 12, or sum up to 12. So you can keep doing call until you get to 12. So we have this. That's going to be a text primary there, so that's plus text primary. Okay. So we have this. So I'm just going to do it for each of them. So we get just going to add cards. From here. Go to this other guy. Oh, shift there. Save my work. So my margin is not working. The margin top here, it's not working. I'm just going to do a padding top and bottom as bottom so that I'll adjust this. If this is not working for us, section. Yeah, so we have some space here now. So we have this now. So I have an issue. My issue is that if I inspect and I get to this screen size, this is what happens. So it's actually not even taking up. Hello. So we have a problem, and the problem is that when we get this screen size, instead of let's say yeah, so the way I did it is, this is C column C1, 2, 3, 4. So when you, if I add another one now, it will just add a fifth column. And this is not really what I want. On this screen size, maybe I probably just want one. So it keeps resizing, and yeah, it depends on how many I put. So on this screen size now, it has it has reduced to 2 now. So probably I just need only one. Even with one, it doesn't look nice. So what do? I will come here now. So this is, like I told you, you can style for all screen sizes. So no, I don't need to do it that way. I don't need to do it that way. What I will do is, I would say there is a column, let's say on a large screen. So LG is a large screen. On a large screen, you want 4. So if you're dividing, if we have 4 items and your screen is usually divided into 12, that gives you 12 by 4 gives you what? 3, right? So that means on your large screen you have you're going to have 4 of them lined up. When you get to your tablet, so called MD is for your tablet view. Let's say, for instance, you want 2 here, so you can just do a 6 or MD of 6. And then for a small screen, you want it. It's not a programming language. You want it to be 12, so you can just do a call 12. So I'm going to just add, okay, let me just do for 1 so that you guys just see what is happening. So this is what happens because I set it to 12. I set it to 12. If I come to my tablet view, this takes up 6. This takes up 6. And then this is supposed to be another 6. So the number is going higher because I want, it's the width to take. So I want on a large screen, instead of this call I'm using here, I need everything to sum up to 12. So this is 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. This gives you 12. So if I save this, you check this screen size. So you see we have 4 here. When you get to a medium screen, this is actually supposed to take this is supposed to take 6. Then another 6 is supposed to be here. So what I should do is I should make this 6. So watch what happens now. So this screen size, so this takes up 6, and then this other one takes up 6. Is anybody confused? So a row is actually made up of 12 items. 12 items. You can actually divide it into 2 equal parts. That's 6, 6. So it comes here, it comes to this row. Now sees, okay, we have a 6 here. So 6 plus 6 takes up 1 row. Then when that row is filled, it now moves this remaining ones to the next row. 6 plus 6 again. You get that? Then when you now go to your mobile screen, now see, because of that call something, that's why this is happening. So if you leave it at follow, okay. I think it fixes itself. You mean margin, but you need some space under it. All right. If you want that, you just do what I normally do is I just add a margin bottom of 3. I'll just add this 12. Or if I remove this, what happens? You just see that it just takes care of even the mobile without even stressing myself. So I just had to work on the tablet view. Is this the medium? Yes. So that's why it says a mobile first listing. So just for 6, sometimes if it doesn't work, I just add a 12 here so that I know it's occupying the whole 12. But I've noticed that without that, it just fixes itself. Yeah. So you could just everything all packed inside this thing for you. So I just need to copy this and just put here. Oops. I just need to give all of them a margin bottom of 3. So you see it has some spaces. Yeah. It has spaces underneath it. So if I expand, I have space there. Come back, go to my tablet. Everything is good. Life is good. So you can now go and add your icons. Oh, we're supposed to don't treat the way of adding icons. So probably in the next class we will talk about that. So just a quick question now. Let's say, for instance, we want to create this section now. What do you think we will do? Does anybody have an idea? Let's create this section. I believe we still have small grace. So let's just create about section. So after that, we'll call it a listen. Yeah. So 6, you just divide it 6 for both sides. Okay, so let me just close this hero section and then do my about section. Okay, so inside the about section. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to send this to you guys. So someone has hinted me that time is fast spent. So you guys will just add this other section for me. You do it. You're going to style it for me. I'm going to put this on. How do I send it to you guys? So I'm going to send this via GitHub. Yes. Send it via GitHub. And then you just add this other style for me so that I'll know that you guys are following suit. And then so you add this and then this section. Mind you, you can also add your background, your normal background. I didn't just want to stress about that. Then this button, you can find a way of doing this. Yeah, you're going to you're going to clone it. You're going to clone it and then push and then post it. So just see how that goes. So I'm sure you guys enjoyed the class, and thank you for always. You'll learn how to learn it. Thank you for all you guys keep doing. Thank you for learning. Thank you for everything. So let's call it a day. We'll meet on Slack and then we'll stop moving. Right.